Retail Management, Masters of Commerce, 4th semester, Mangalore University, Session 18. Strategic Retail Planning. In this session, we are going to learn about the legal considerations and the number of stores in an area. Learning objective: to understand about the legal considerations and the number of stores in an area. Session outcome: to enlighten the students to examine when evaluating different location types and how many stores to operate in an area. Legal considerations. Legal considerations need to be examined when evaluating different location types. Laws regarding how land may be used have become so important that they often are a retailer's first consideration in a site search. Legal issues that affect the location decision include environmental and sustainability issues, zoning, building codes, signs, and licensing requirements. First one, environmental and sustainability issues. The Environmental Protection Agency as well as state and local agencies has become increasingly involved with issues that could affect the retail stores. Two environmental issues have received particular attention in recent years. The first is above ground risks such as asbestos containing materials or lead pipes used in constructions. These materials can be removed relatively easily. The second issue is hazardous materials that have been stored in the ground. This consideration can be particularly important for a dry cleanser because of the chemicals it uses, or for an auto repair shop because of its need to dispose of used motor oil and battery fluid. The cost of cleaning hazardous materials can range from several thousands to many millions of dollars per site. Real estate transactions almost always require an environmental impact statement on the property. Relying on past public filings of buried tanks and other potential hazards can be unreliable and does not provide protection in court. Retailers have two remedies to protect themselves from these environmental hazards. The best option at their disposal is to stipulate in the lease that the lessor is responsible for the removal and disposal of any such material if it is found. Alternatively, the retailer can buy insurance that specifically protects it from these risks. Although laws related to the environment restrict the nature of retail developments, many new developments go beyond these legal requirements to address sustainability and energy efficiency issues. New retail developments are using energy efficient building materials, heating and cooling systems, water efficient landscaping, and natural lighting. Walmart is taking a lead in the sustainability arena. It has experienced energy savings of 15% in its buildings and trucks since 2005. It also uses solar energy at 22 of its sites and conserves an acre of wildlife habitat for every acre that it occupies. Also, Walmart is opening energy efficient stores called high efficiency that are 25 to 30% more efficient than stores opened in 2005. These stores include LED lighting in the refrigerator and freezer cases that are 50% more efficient than fluorescent lighting, a relative white roof, sensor activity low flow bathroom faucets, recycled construction materials, and daylight harvesting technology that dims indoor lights when it is bright outside. Second is zoning and building codes. Zoning determines how a particular site can be used. For instance, some parts of a city are zoned for residential use only. Others are zoned for light industrial and retail uses. Building codes are similar legal restrictions that specify the type of building, size and type of parking lot and so forth that can be used at a particular location. Some building codes require a certain size parking lot or a particular architectural design. Next is signs. Restriction on the use of signs can affect a particular site's desirability. Sign sizes and styles may be restricted by building codes, zoning ordinances, or even the shopping center management. Licensing requirements. Licensing requirements may vary in different parts of the region. For instance, some neighborhoods are dry, meaning no alcoholic beverages can be sold in other areas. Only wine and beer can be sold. Such restrictions can affect the retailers other than restaurants and bars. For instance, a theme or a festival shopping center that restricts the use of alcoholic beverages may find its clientele limited at night. Legal issues such as those mentioned here can discourage a retailer from pursuing a particular site. These restrictions aren't always permanent. However, although difficult, time consuming, and possibly expensive lobbying efforts and court battles can change these legal restrictions. Number of stores in an area. Having selected an area in which to locate its stores, a retailer's next decision is how many stores to operate in the area. At first glance, you might think that a retailer should choose the one best location in each MSA, but clearly, larger MSA can support more stores than smaller MSAs. It may therefore be more advantageous to locate several stores in one MSA and none in others. But there is a limit on how many stores can be operated in even the largest MSAs. When making the decision about how many stores to open in an area, retailers must consider the trade-offs between the lower operating cost and potential sales cannibalization from having multiple stores in an area. The first one is economies of scale from multiple stores. Most retail chains open multiple stores in an area because promotion and distribution economies of scale can be achieved. A retailer's total promotional costs are the same for newspaper advertising that promotes 20 stores in an area or only one store. Multiple stores in an area are needed to justify the cost of building a new distribution center. Thus, chains like Walmart expand into areas only where they have a distribution center in place to support the stores. Opening multiple stores in an area can increase the sales per store as well as reduce the cost. For instance, although there are 6,100 Dunkin' Donuts in the US, 2,100 are concentrated in the Northeast. Of those, less than 40 make their own donuts. The rest give deliveries twice a day from centralized bakeries. The stores then frost and fill the donuts on site. Having so many stores concentrated in one area also facilitates promotional activities. It costs, for instance, the same to place an ad in the Boston Globe for one store or 2,000. In the Northeast, Dunkin' means donuts. Its loyal customers recognize its purple and orange stores and expect to see them everywhere. Finally, the management team can have a greater span of control over a over a regional market. Managers can easily visit the stores and assess competitive situations. Cannibalization. Although retailers gain scale economies from opening multiple locations in an area, they also suffer diminishing returns associated with locating too many additional stores in an area. For example, suppose the first 4 stores opened in an MSA by a specialty store retailer generate sales of $2 million each because they are located far apart from one another. Customers consider patronizing only the store nearest to them and there is no cannibalization. When the retailer opens a fifth store close to one of the existing stores, it anticipates a net sales increase for the area of $2 million. The new store should generate the same sales level as the four existing stores. Instead, the increase in the sales is only 1.5 million because the sales in the nearest existing store dropped to $1.7 million and sales from the new store are only 1.8 million because its location is only the 1/5 best in the area. Thus, because the new store cannibalizes sales from the closest store if it only contributes sales of $1.5 million. Because a primary retailing objective is to maximize profits for the entire chain, retailers should continue to open stores only as long as profits continue to increase, or in economic terms, as long as the marginal revenues achieved by opening a new store are greater than the marginal costs. For franchise retail operations, the objectives of the franchisor and the franchisee differ, and thus disputes can arise over the number of locations in an area. The franchisor is interested in maximizing the sales of all the stores because it earns a royalty based on total store sales. The franchisee is interested in just the sales and profits from its stores. Thus, the franchisor is not as concerned about cannibalization as the franchisee is. To reduce the level of conflict, most franchise agreements grant franchisees an exclusive territory to protect them from another franchisee cannibalizing their sales.